Hey, Bria, guess what?
What?
We're all done with our first batch of interviews that we had backlogged.
What does that even mean?
It's a good question.
It feels really surreal because it feels like just yesterday when we started on this journey of podcasting, or just the idea came into our mind and it was a discussion. And here we are. And it feels kind of odd because we haven't actually interviewed anybody in our studio for quite some time.
Yeah.
So in my perspective, I'm a little bit removed from it, but I know that I'm
not removed from it.
You're not removed because you've been spending hours and days every week editing the backlogged interviews. So
yeah, and I remember when the pandemic lockdown started to happen, we started questioning, are these podcast episodes still relevant, or should we press pause? At the time, we didn't know, like everybody else didn't know, how long all of this would be.
Right.
But we pressed forward, and suffice to say, all of the episodes, for me going through them and reliving them and thinking about like where we are now versus where we were then, I felt like they still were just as pertinent or timeless. And I really like the fact that like they weren't all about COVID, because everywhere you go and everywhere you look, it's all about, well, what's happening with, and
the restrictions.
And everything. Yeah. So I'm really glad they weren't about that.
It's refreshing, to be able to hear about people's stories and remember humanity.
Exactly. And yet here we are, and we kind of finished that first batch, that first round.
Amazing interviews,
so amazing
cool people. Yeah.
And we had a number of interviews that were lined up that are still lined up, maybe.
But they just haven't had a chance to come into the studio because of everything. So it's forced Kevin and I'm sure like the rest of the world, to sit back and reevaluate what are we doing in life and what needs to change. How do we innovate and evolve so that we don't get left behind? And in our situation, that's looked a little bit like changing our services to meet demands elsewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think that's like an important thing that I've been learning, and I know all of the people that I work with have been learning, and I know that the whole world is learning, is that we're on the cusp of change. And it's very easy to kind of spiral into what that change might look like as we cling to kind of the habits that we had established of whatever before looked like. I'm really prone to keeping things and wanting to keep things like systematic and the same again and again and again. You're really good at embracing something new and exciting and different. But we forge ahead, and so we have some exciting changes that we have been discussing and trying to figure out with all of this stuff, particularly with the podcast, and with kind of what we together are creating. I've said this a couple of times. I refuse to accept a reality in which whatever this ends up being is void of like human connection. I refuse to believe that we're just gonna all be avoiding each other as much as we can. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it definitely feels like it has to change because the trajectory is pretty bleak. The way that if it continues the way that it is.
Yeah, exactly.
So prayerfully going through that. But I'm the silver lining is that we've been spending a lot of quality time as a family and pursuing new projects, new passions, and it feels really good. I have to say, it feels really good to be back in the studio.
Yeah,
it feels good to be here and to be with you.
Yes.
You're my best friend.
You're my best friend too.
And I like doing fun things
creating
to do.
things.
And our kids are sleeping right now,
Yeah.
and this is what we do for fun, I guess.
Exactly.
We're really blessed to have the equipment that we do to be able to create this kind of thing. But for people who are like us and who are in their houses having more time on their hands than they used to, they're wanting to learn just like us. And we've been able to interact with more of those people who've reached out, and not the typical business that we have encountered in the past however many years that we've been working at One Kind Creative. We've encountered more creatives who want to do it themselves. And so we've been doing a lot of consultation work, and that has been super fun for me. And because I'm not necessarily like the technical whiz, but I love communicating and helping brainstorm and strategizing and all of that. And so being able to talk in like a dream space with people and like encourage them is
your wheelhouse.
Totally my wheelhouse. And I feel like I'm thriving in it. It's really fun for me. And for you, you've been able to take on the part that is the technical, and you've been able to sit down with people on Zoom calls and essentially just walk them through how to do their own podcast, or how to edit a video, or put text in a video, or whatever it may be.
And perhaps that was always the trajectory as we started this, that we knew that along the way we would be figuring out kind of where our people would be and what they would be wanting. And so we learned so much, and now we're turning around, and I'm blessed to say that I've got people that I'm helping out, and I'm teaching them. And so that's perhaps a huge, well, it is definitely a huge kind of facet of this next chapter, is that kind of education piece. And I know that there are a lot of people out there that we perhaps would love to hear like how we create this stuff, and would like to just get some advice or have like cheerleaders and encouragers to create different types of branding opportunities and stories and assets and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So that kind of marks the end of first chapter, and the start of the new chapter is part of the start of the new chapter is education. And
it actually speaks to what you've already been doing for so many years as an educator.
Right.
Kevin built an art media program from scratch, and he has been able to educate students over the past 10 years as a teacher in media and filmmaking and like post-production and all of that. And so I just think it's divine timing that you're able to kind of use those skills and bring them into One Kind Creative, because it's something that you are really passionate about, to be able to help people. And typically with businesses, you're helping them, but they want you to do the creative. Whereas right now with the creatives that we've been working with, you're able to educate them on how to create their own stuff. And so I know that that's like, you get jazzed. I can tell when you're talking to people that you really get fired up about it all. And it's also been really nice because I feel like there's a level of respect that comes when somebody's like working through, okay, this is how I lay a sound bed, or I don't even know if I said that right.
Lay a sound bed. That's pretty cool.
Was that pretty cool? Yeah. That was good?
Yeah.
And it's so technical, and it can be difficult if you're new to a program, but you lay it out so well. And it's been really cool to like overhear the conversations and have the other end have like light bulb moments and be able to like work through something, and then just like really fully understand, wow, this takes a lot of work.
Right.
It's not something that you just like, I think that it's a testament to how talented you are, that when somebody would listen to this podcast, they're not even aware of all of the work that goes into it because they're not paying attention to it, because it's such a seamless experience being able to listen to quality audio, have sound beds that enhance the experience and the audio without detracting from it. And I feel like you don't notice any of those components unless they're being done poorly.
Wow.
You know? Wouldn't you say? It's like listening to an American Idol singer, and if they're really bad, you're just kind of like, oh, this is really hard and uncomfortable, and you're like aware of every little note. But then you listen to somebody like Kelly Clarkson come out,
Right.
and she just blows their faces off or sings their.
It's interesting that you say all that. It's interesting to say all that.
You don't even worry. You know, you're not even aware. You just enjoy. You know, you're just like sitting back and you're like, wow, that was beautiful. And so I feel that way about your work.
Well, thank you. It's interesting you put it that way. I think video in particular, and definitely audio in there, because audio is like an essential component of video. But like, you're totally right. How we collectively, as people, look at video as either acceptable or unacceptable, and in few cases we'll celebrate it as an art form. But like literally all other art forms, we have so much more grace that we give, right? It's like if something's not right, if a camera's out of focus, or if like a cut is jarring, right, then we write it off. But like if somebody was painting like an image and then, they finished and something wasn't quite jiving with the composition, we wouldn't be like, blah, 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 we would like, I don't know.
What was that again?
Yeah, that was me putting on like a hoity-toity,
Okay.
whatever. But yeah,
Kevin's also an art teacher.
There you go. Yeah.
So he has some experience, I'm guessing,
Right.
with that.
With the blah, blah, blah.
With the blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. So thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
And yeah, such a great cheerleader with all of that, and really been championing too the strategy as we move forward. So one component of the next chapter is going to be education, and not just in the space of consultation as we have been doing and will continue to do, but utilizing this platform, this podcasting platform, to educate. And it's been taking a lot of kind of courage for me to, kind of just be comfortable in front of a camera and to put out and try my best to give value, knowing that at the other end of this camera there are people, and you are have needs to create what it is that you want to create, and I'm here to help. And so yeah, the upcoming episodes, we are intending to incorporate shorter format, tip-driven strategies for branding.
Yeah, brand stories, and how to do it yourself. We know that your time is valuable, and so we want to respect the time that you're giving us and listening to our podcast. And we want to pack a ton of punch with our episodes. And so, not that we haven't done that thus far. The stories that we've heard up to this point have been really inspiring for us. And we've learned a lot and made some cool connections. But we recognize that during this time, it's us. We have each other.
Yeah.
We can't really get people in here. So we want to make lemonade out of lemons and do something that's fun.
Which again, like I said, I refuse to believe that the outcome of this will be everybody avoiding each other. I mean, we intend to have people
we still want to have
in
people
the studio, and we intend to continue to have those interviews and also go out to other establishments and interview
perhaps,
people.
Honestly, we've talked about doing this before COVID even happened. So it's not like well, shoot, now what do we do? It's like kind of good timing that we have time to sit down, just the two of us, and to provide this new type of information for you guys. So we're excited about that. And Kevin and I have also been working on an underground top secret project.
Yeah, Bria was waiting for a little bit of suspenseful music right there.
Kevin,
and
just
right
here.
Roll.
Yeah, add the suspense.
She was waiting to hear it.
So because we've had more time on our hands, Kevin and I are we like to create things together, and we've had a lot of fun with TikTok and making family videos and all of that. But
like everybody else, right?
yeah, exactly. And joining the community. But something that we really love is building brands. And we thought, hey, let's finish something that we started a while back. And that thing is a health and wellness publication that I started working on and writing articles for a few years ago, actually. And I ended up stopping the project because I got pregnant again, and I get really horribly sick when I get pregnant. Like, I'm just throwing up for months. I lose so much weight, and it's really hard for me to find motivation to do anything, let alone talk about food. You know, I'm like, I want to avoid it at all costs. So it just felt like I was re-inspired again. And not that I haven't been inspired all along. It's been this thing that's kind of been this undercurrent where I'm like, okay, when's the right time? When's the right time? And it just feels like now is the right time, especially with the need for community. I know I have it. I'm really loving being able to connect with people, and so appreciative of it because it's been kind of taken from us a little bit. So myself and Kevin included, because I couldn't do it without him. He makes my dreams come true. So like, I will talk about, okay, these are all the things that I want it to be. This is how I want it to look. And I'll work on mood boards on Pinterest and send him over all the images. And then he creates this masterful website, and more than I could have ever wanted. And so it's been so fun to be able to like work on that together when the kids are asleep. Usually that's when we're working on it, is when the kids are sleeping. And we're really excited about it. It looks amazing. I can't wait to share it.
For all of you that don't know, because we haven't talked about it.
Oh yeah.
Bria is a registered nurse, first of all. And second of all, super passionate about holistic health.
Yeah.
And she's always been that way. So it's been really cool to put her in this orange chair and have her sofa and have her like engage in these conversations about branding and learning about marketing and all of that.
Yeah, it's something that,
not to say that you're not interested in that too.
No, totally. It's something that I have picked up over the years because I'm married to you, and One Kind Creative is our family business, and so I want to help in any way possible. I love people.
And she's super good at strategy, super good at connecting people. Those are her skills. So it totally makes sense that she would naturally find a place and all of that.
But
and
Kevin and I have realized that perhaps we can serve people even more in niching down a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking from a place of passion, right? As passionate as I am, and we both are at meeting people and getting to know their stories, we also have our own personal passions.
Yeah.
My personal passion is Bria, and Bria's personal passion is holistic health.
No.
So indirectly, my personal passion is also holistic health.
He will eat many a kale salad.
The
he
smile on my face.
Many a kale salad in his relationship with me. I think that it's been really cool to like almost have, because for so many years I've been behind the scenes at One Kind Creative, right? Where I've been helping with style tips or, whatever, but I'm not necessarily
which comes in the form of
engaging with the clients.
Which comes in the form of, are you gonna wear that? No. Are they gonna wear that?
Yeah, I guess that is true.
That's part of it.
We need to really lock this down a little bit.
Exactly.
But now it's the opposite, where I am a little bit more of like the forward-facing presence for our new brand, and he's behind the scenes making it really excel technologically speaking, because that is not my strength. Speaking of this next chapter, we have a new Instagram handle that you can find Kevin at. It's at Kevin Bobby if you're interested in more of the educational tips. Because One Kind Creative, we serve businesses who are needing a creative director and they just want to hire it out. That's more of the One Kind Creative space. But at Kevin Bobby, it'll be more for creatives who are interested in really learning how to do things themselves. So if that's you, go ahead, give him a follow. And he hasn't posted anything yet, but we're working on that. And
my courage is what she's referring to.
We're working
as that.
on his courage to get in front of the camera because he is so gregarious and so funny. He's honestly like the life of the party. When you're around Kevin, you want to talk to him because he's great at storytelling. He has so many good questions to ask anybody, really. Like, you feel really known by him. So he's great with people. And it's so funny because as soon as you put a camera in front of his face, he just clams up, which is probably pretty normal for most people. It's not the most comfortable situation. It's because you're so humble. You don't like being the center of attention. You're doing it.
I don't think it's entirely it. I think there's also the problem that I'm the one that edits the videos afterwards.
So you have to like watch it a million times.
Yeah, it's like this double whammy of I don't want to see myself saying that or doing that over and over again.
Yeah.
But
what I've been encouraging him is it doesn't have to be perfect. And that's the direction that we're going in with social media anyways. I mean, if you haven't noticed, there's so many more people who are just like showing up and not having to be super made up. And so I think that that's a really cool direction. And I just hope that Kevin can
get over his fear
and really show up for you guys in a powerful way, because I know he has a lot to offer. Do you not want me to say that? Okay, just follow along.
There's a lot to offer.
Just follow at Kevin Bobby.
Honestly, help me out by just asking me questions in the DM so that I feel like
he's
I'm
already
not just
working on stuff, though.
Putting stuff out to the World Wide Web and pretending like people are listening or whatever.
No. Kevin is already working on videos. He already has lots of tips and strategies for growing your brand. It's really, really good stuff. I've watched his videos. But yeah, if you have any specific questions, please shoot us a DM. Shoot him a DM, because then he'll be able to like specifically tailor his content toward what you're interested in. So that's that. Yep. And last but not least, we have, if you're interested in learning a little bit more about video editing or in building your brand, check out those courses.
Yep. And again, ask questions. If you have any questions, we're here to help. Yep. Ultimately, so whether it's on the website, it's on One Kind Creative's handle, or it's on Kevin Bobby. Follow all those. We'll be sharing more information about the brand that we're working on as it gets closer to its unveiling. And we will continue to put out podcast episodes here. Hopefully we'll be able to start to, as things open up, interview more people. And as we go through with that, we'll also be putting out short format tips and strategies for building brands. And so stay tuned for all of that. And again, we can't tell you how much we appreciate you guys being along in the journey and how excited we are for the next chapter 2. Hey, thanks for listening. Don't be a stranger. Hit the subscribe button and let us know how you enjoyed the episode in a rating on the podcast app or in the comments below if you're watching. And remember, you're one of a kind.